Good morning and welcome to the Playful Life podcast here on Non Harlow Media. I am your host, Crystal, and I'm so happy that you're joining me here this morning. We are going to be talking about something really, really important, limiting beliefs. And that little voice in your head that often tells you that you're not worthy, you're not good enough, you're not going to achieve something, and how to quiet that voice and how to know how to overcome those limiting beliefs. And I love the phrase fake it till you make it. You may have heard that before and thought, I don't know, like, what does faking it mean? But I'm here to tell you that I do believe that there's a lot of truth and value in that statement, and we're going to talk about that in just a moment. Before I get there, I do want to thank our sponsors. We have some great sponsors here at Ron Harlow Media, and I would love to tell you about Baxter Printing. My friend Dave Tarosi over there, they just moved into a new location. They're in Griffith now, downtown Griffith. And for those of you who are in the region, you know how awesome downtown Griffith is and how many really cool businesses, restaurants. There's a music store down there, a record store. I mean, that city, that town, you guys are doing a great job over there, Griffith. So I'm really excited that Dave's over there with Baxter Printing. And they do all kinds of print jobs. I have them do all of my printing for all my promotional materials, my booklets, my pamphlets, all of my stuff goes through there. And they do any kind of job, large or small. And even if you live out of state, I'm sure that you can send them documents that you would like them to print. And Dave can mail them out to you so you can still utilize his awesome print shop. So often we go to Staples or home I almost said Home Depot, Office Depot, something like that, but it's so impersonal and those people don't know you, they don't know your brand, they don't know what you're trying to get across. And so having a good relationship with a printer, I think, is really, really important, especially if you're a business person or if you have important things that you want to print in your life. And if you go to their location in Griffith, you'll probably see their Employee of the Month, Bentley. And if Jay's watching, he's probably laughing. But Bentley is their golden retriever, and he is just so wonderful and adorable. And I know that he'll warm your heart when you go there. So check out Baxter Printing. The phone number is easy to remember. I remember it like one of my Prince songs that I like. 923-1999 for those of you out of state. 219-923-1999. Right? We're gonna party like it's 1999. I also want to tell you about an awesome thing going on right now at Sharinga Farm in Highland. They're on Klein Avenue there in Highland. And for those of you who say that eating healthy is too expensive, or, I don't want to, go and buy fresh produce, now is the time for no excuses, because Sharinga Farm is doing today, Thursday. If you're watching this live, you have to go over there today, right now. Well, after you watch this podcast, I don't even think they're open yet. I think they open at 9. So you got to watch this podcast first. But they're expecting a freeze tomorrow night or tonight. So they're doing 25 cents a pound. 25 cents a pound. You heard that right. For you pick. So they still have hot peppers, all kinds of different sweet peppers, banana peppers, bell jalapeno, gypsy peppers. They also have tomatoes, heirloom tomatoes. I'm going to guess they probably have some other types of produce there too. So you can head over to Sharinga Farms in Highland. They're on Klein Avenue and 45th, right about there. And fill yourself up a basket or 2 or 3 of produce and take it home. And if you don't finish it, give it to your friends, your neighbors, your family. And get the good produce, fresh, locally grown. Guys, so important to eat produce that is locally grown to your area, so that you can have no excuse to eat healthy. All right, so without further ado, I don't know what's happening here. Okay, we're going to get started. So I wanted to, again, talk to you about this idea of limiting beliefs. And I did a coaching session recently where I realized that these things that happen to us in our past often rear their heads in our present by drudging up these limiting beliefs inside our head. So when I say that, I just mean that that little voice inside your head that, when you're going to go start something new or try something new or, go for a goal, there's this voice in the back of your head that says, oh, you tried that before and you failed, or that's too hard. You're not that kind of person. You've never done that before. You don't fit in with those people. These things that come up in our heads that disqualify us basically before we even try to do the thing that we want to do. And I was thinking about this in particular in the last week or so because I realized that there were a couple of limiting beliefs that were really rearing their heads at me as I was thinking about an injury that I have and sort of going forward. And I've always dealt with foot injuries, ankle injuries. I don't know if it's because I've been a dancer all my life or what the deal is, but I have just had trouble with that. So I think when I look at, fitness or exercise, I always have this voice in the back of my mind saying like, oh, be careful, you have those injuries and, you're probably never going to be a top athlete, because of these things. But then I realized that, there are things that I could do, even if my feet just stopped working. There are things that, I could do like swim. So I went and I tried out a membership at the Civic Center here in Hammond. And it's actually really awesome. I can't believe I've lived in Hammond for like 11 years and I have never gone over to the Civic Center to take advantage of the awesome, programs and facility that they have there. But I decided to start swimming, and there was that voice in the back of my mind. And I think every other time I had really thought about doing that, that voice would come up and say, oh, you're not a swimmer, you weren't never on a swim team, in high school or grade school, or I never even went and had like a formal swim lesson. I just sort of learned how to swim basic, and then through the years I've never really had access to a pool, so I've never really swam laps, when I've been at a friend's house or on vacation where I might have like a pool or something at the hotel, like I'll swim and I can figure it out, like I know how to float and get from one side of the pool to the other, but I'm not really like a swimmer, so when I went yesterday for the first time and swam, like I had a lot of anxiety about it, and I was like, oh, I don't know how this is going to go. People are going to look at me and all this stuff, right? But I survived and I did it. And, there's YouTube and other people that I can ask and learn as I go. It didn't have to be perfect. I didn't have to be perfect yesterday. I just had to, basically get in the water and not drown and figure out how to get from one side of the pool to the other and get a good workout. And I did. My heart rate was up and I felt good. And, my foot felt great afterwards because I was not re-injuring my injury. So it was, a definite overcoming of that limiting belief. So another thing I want to really stress is that these limiting beliefs don't have to follow you your whole life. And here's where that fake it till you make it thing comes in. Sometimes we just have to shut that voice down in our heads and just go forward ahead and do it anyway. And that idea of, showing up and just pretending that you're an expert or pretending that you know what you're doing will eventually lead you to have the confidence enough to get into the thing that you want to do. Whether that's starting a new craft or trying a new workout program or even cooking, right? I think some people think like, oh, cooking is this like really hard, complicated concept. And when they think about eating healthy, they're like, well, I don't really know how to cook. I've never cooked. I tend to burn things. Oh, I always overcook chicken when I try to do that. So, there are these times that even something so simple that we could do for our health, like all these excuses kind of come flooding in because we think that, we're just never going to be good at that thing. And I want to work through an exercise with you, and I'm going to give you an example of a personal limiting belief for me and how I am writing an affirmation, connecting with an emotion and writing an affirmation for it. And in the other column, you're going to learn how to develop confidence around that affirmation. So first thing we want to do is recognize the limiting belief. So for me, when I meditated on this, I found that something from my past was still really affecting me. So when I was a kid, I'm sure maybe you've heard me say this before. I wrote about it in my book, The Playful Journal, but I was just not athletic. Like I wasn't good at sports. I didn't play sports. I danced, but I was a heavy kid. I was overweight. I was unhealthy, and I was definitely always picked last in gym class. And I mean, always. Like when they pick team captains and you have to choose teams, like I was always picked last. I'm like, I don't know why my gym teacher like didn't just make me the captain after a while. Like, well, you could put together a good team, even though you're going to be the last one chosen for it. And I know that like kids probably saw it as like they wanted to win. I mean, it's gym class, but they still wanted to have a good team, and they knew maybe that I wasn't super athletic, but I was a good team player, and like I would try to get the ball to somebody who I knew could like actually know how to use it. But over and over again for years and years, when you're the last person picked on a team, like it hurts, right? It sucks, and you start to believe that you are last. You start to believe that you're never going to get chosen first, that you're not worthy to be on any team. And so what I noticed is when I would get on a team, not athletically or in gym, but when I would get on like an academic team, or even into my adult life, when I started working and being part of a like workforce team, I would overcompensate so much. Like I would try to prove myself over and over and over again, never really feeling worthy of that spot on the team. And like that is very difficult to overcome when you are becoming your own entrepreneur and building a team around you. It's just really difficult for me still to put those beliefs aside and say, no, I am worthy of being on this team and I have so much to offer. And letting go of that getting picked last, like you really do have to think about it and let it go. And when I think about that past hurt, of course it was hurtful. I was sad. I felt ashamed. I was embarrassed. I mean, all these things come up, all these emotions come up when I think about it. And I take a deep breath in through my nose, let it out my mouth, and let that go. You got to let that emotion go. You got to let that past hurt go, because that's not who I am anymore. If I was on, in a situation where people needed someone for a team, like I don't think I'd be picked last. Maybe not first. Like I didn't play sports in college, but like I'm definitely a lot more athletic than I used to be, and I'm definitely a lot more confident. So that doesn't mean that I'm going to get chosen last. And it certainly doesn't mean that I'm going to get chosen last in my career and when I am looking to advance myself in personal development. So, letting go of that identity, I'm not that girl anymore. And even if I was, and even if I'm still getting picked last, like that doesn't mean that I'm not worthy. That's somebody else's choice. And I have no control over what that person chooses, to pick me first or last. So I have to choose myself first. And I know that God, God, my maker, has chosen me and has a very unique and special meaning and purpose for my life. So I have to just let that go and move on. So after you have identified sort of that limiting belief, right? So the limiting belief for me is getting, what did I say here? Oh, that that I am unworthy to be recognized on a team, right? That's my limiting belief, that I'm not worthy, right? That I'm going to get picked last, that, how could I possibly be successful if nobody sees me as someone who's of value to their team? And so overcoming that, I have to rewrite that story, right? I don't want that record playing over and over in my head anymore. I want a new story, a new identity. So my new affirmation is that I am a valuable team member and I elevate and add value to every group and team that I'm on. And if I write that down and I say it out loud, like, wow, that's so powerful that I can say that out loud, right? I am valuable. I'm a valuable team member. I elevate, and add value to every group and team that I am a part of. So, this might sound a little like goofy to you, and you're like, I don't know, like maybe I don't have all the qualities that I need to be on that team or get that promotion or land that job or start that business or lose that weight, whatever it is. Finding confidence is what is going to help you say these words out loud and believe them, right? We have to believe them. We can't just, speak them out into the nothingness. We have to, actually believe these things that we're saying. So what I like to do is think of times in my life where I overcame that, right? Where, I did something awesome and accomplished something really cool. And then I think about the emotion that made me feel, right? I felt proud and happy and, maybe honored in a situation. If you have a family, like you're raising kids, like put that on your list of things that you have accomplished, because man, oh man, is it like, I don't have kids, but I have nieces and nephews, and I just, hats off and total respect to parents everywhere, especially moms. And so if that's something you've done or you have kids, like definitely like put that down on your list as an accomplishment, and think about how, proud that makes you, or happy or joyful or, accomplished. Well, like what does that make you feel when you think about the awesome accomplishment of having and raising kids? And, maybe it was getting a special award in school, maybe graduating from college or graduating from high school even. Like, there's a lot of people that never even get to that point. So, we have to just think about these things in our life that we've accomplished and build on them to build our confidence. So I have a list of different adjectives that I have written out, and I give these to my clients, and I love to see what they've circled, these different adjectives. And I say, out of this list of like 15 to 20 different ones, like pick 3. And usually I start with 10, and then we narrow it down to 5, and then we narrow it down to 3. But like having 3 adjectives in your bank, if you will, that describe you. If somebody was to say, like, what are 3 good things that you would describe yourself as? Having these words as part of your identity, saying and seeing these words every day, are really going to help you lift your confidence level. So as part of that affirmation that you're writing down, I want you to write those 3 adjectives with it. So my example here, right? I am a valuable team player. I elevate and add value to every group and team that I'm on because I'm courageous, determined, and creative. So I think about, the times that I've stepped outside the box and done things that were really scary. And so I think, like, yeah, you know what? I am courageous. Like, I'm willing to step outside of my comfort zone and go for things that I really want. So I consider that courage. So courageous is my first one. My second one is determined, because like there are times, and I love to tell the story of, when I was just a little girl and I had gotten the stomach flu right before my first dance recital, like literally the day before my first dance recital. Like it was on Sunday and I came down sick on Saturday. And, my mom was like, what do you, like, I was like 4, I don't even know, 4 or 5. And my mom was really concerned about me doing this, and I cried. I was more upset that I was not going to be able to dance on stage after all the work that I put in learning this dance, right? And the costume and everything. Oh my gosh, it was so gorgeous. I could still remember that costume. I had this little white tutu with a star, and I had to hold a wand because it was like Magic Star or something was the name of it. And so I held this little wand in my hand, and like I was so excited. You have no idea. Like the determination inside my inner being was like so amazingly strong that, I promised my mom that, I could do it. I could go out there, I could dance. And she took me to that dance recital. She got me dressed at home, brought me there, basically kept me like in the corner so that I didn't infect anybody else. And, she brought me on stage. I did the dance. I literally left like, didn't get the whole experience of my first dance recital other than just being on stage. But I did it, right? And I think back on that moment and I'm like, I was so little, but the desire that I had to wear that costume and go out on stage and just perform and like do something so exciting. I was so excited. Just like push me past the point of discomfort just to do it, just to get it done. And I look back on that and other times in my life where maybe other people would have thrown in the towel or given up. And I'm like, no, I am determined. I really, really, really want this for myself. And I just keep going. So determination is definitely always on my list. And I would love to hear if you have a story like that where you overcame something or played a big game, maybe a sports game where you weren't feeling well and you scored the winning point, whatever it is. Like those stories need to inspire you for the rest of your life because they're a part of you and they're part of your story. My last one was creative. And I do think that even if I was picked last to be on those teams in gym class, I was the one cheering people on and being creative with ways that we could come together as a team and always putting that forth, being creative with my ideas, with my words. I write songs. I love art. These little things have always been part of my expression, right, of my creativity. And even dancing on that stage when I had the stomach flu when I was a little girl, like that was that little creative part of me that wanted to go out there and create something and entertain and be a part of something that was greater than myself. So I encourage you to do this. I encourage you to do this exercise. And if you would like to get this exercise from me and work together with me in it, we can definitely set up a time to do that. I would love to coach you through this exercise. I think it's so important for us to overcome these limiting beliefs, build our confidence around them, and then say these affirmations to ourselves. As hokey as they are, or whatever you might think, like that's a limiting belief, right? Oh, affirmations, those are for people who, are hippy dippy or, light candles and incense and vibe on crystals and whatever. Like, you may have judgments about these things that, are disqualifying you from enjoying the benefit of them. But I can tell you this, any of the great influencers and leaders and thought leaders out there definitely say affirmations to themselves, whether they're sitting down quietly and writing them in their journal, or whether they're, running to the rooftops and shouting them out loud for everybody to hear. They do have these affirmations. And, I know I've seen Tony Robbins speak about this, the great Jim Rohn. I've heard him talk about this as well. So, those are guys who are really into personal development and goal setting and getting where they want to go. And they have inspired so many other coaches and people to go after their dreams and get what they want. So, I like to say, why reinvent the wheel? I just need to look at what other successful people have done and do those things. So, I can tell you from my experience how these have helped me. And I hope this encourages and influences you to try something different and to speak these words of affirmation in your life. Thank you for joining me so much today. Remember to like the video down below and subscribe, as always, to the YouTube channel and to Ron Harlow Media on Facebook. You can catch Ron on his show, Make My Day. He also has a football show that's super fun. And he is live at Ron Harlow Media 4 to 6 Central Time every day. And Erin, the cheeky mom, she is just so amazing, guys. Erin, I've just seen her grow and blossom so much in the last year, and you will just really enjoy both of their shows. She is on in the morning at 10 a.m. on Wednesdays. So be sure to check them out and head over to Ron Harlow Media to see a list of our full sponsors, Baxter Printing, for all of your needs. And also, I want to mention that Dave, the owner there at Baxter Printing, has a radio show. How cool is that? Like, he's such a super cool DJ. And when he plays music, like, it's songs from artists that you know, but songs that you probably don't know, which is so cool because how many of us turn on the radio and then just turn it off right away because we're like, oh, I've heard that song 1,000 times, like today, literally. But these songs, Dave just carefully handpicks these songs and plays them. So he has that show on hotrocksradio.com. It is a streaming radio station, kind of like how we are around Harlow Media, right? We stream. That's the new wave of the future. So check him out, guys, 6 to 9 p.m. on Hot Rocks Radio. Captain Dave, that's the name of his show. And, let him know that you're listening. And he just has some really, really awesome programming going on there. And also remember, as soon as we end this, get your coat, get your keys, put your shoes on, and drive over to Sharinga Farms in Highland because they've got that amazing deal going on. And while you're there, pick up some squash, some winter squash to make some soups and some different veggies, and just, being there at that farm is just like so cool that we have this in our backyard that, we just like really just go and appreciate it because it's super cool. The people at Sharingas are awesome. So I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Stay playful and healthy as always, and I'll catch you later.